Hello and welcome to the For Empire podcast. My name is Abby Ngwaocha, and in this podcast, we address the personal and business issues that female entrepreneurs face in their day-to-day lives. Our guest today is the lovely Ali MacKeller, who's an LGBT advocate and a mental health advocate. Hi, Ali.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Nice to have you. So, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
For sure. So my name is Ali. I use she, her pronouns. And I am an inclusive fitness coach for queer people and for people with injuries. And I really love to focus on the benefits of exercise for your mental health. So not just about, getting big muscles or looking a certain way. I think the best parts of movement and fitness are the mental health benefits, feeling good, feeling confident, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, that's a bit about me.
Okay, so the part about exercising for your mental health and feeling more confident, I thought that when you work out and you finally like get those abs, the confidence comes automatically. Like them abs, I worked for this. Doesn't come automatically.
You know what? I'm sure for people who have abs, they feel that way, but I cannot speak from personal experience because I do not have like a six pack. I'm sure those people feel really confident too, which is great. But that is, that's one part of fitness for me. But I think, you're going to feel let down for a long time on your journey. And I think at the end, if you're only, your goals are only physical. So to have a six pack or have, big biceps or something like that, like whatever those goals may be, it takes a long time to get that kind of physical transformation. Yeah. But what we can focus on now and what I think you will always feel good about is, after a workout, feeling really proud of yourself for having pushed yourself really hard or out of your comfort zone. In terms of like physically in your body, you will feel a mood boost, you'll have endorphins typically. And that a feeling of strength in your body that comes from, after working out for a month, that is something that you can hold on to and really feel the difference in the short term, and that will keep you excited and wanting to do this going forward versus like the sad reality is most of us can't get a six pack in 30 days.
I know, I've been trying for
years. It's
going
to take years.
Yeah. I've been trying inconsistently.
And even then you'll probably just like feel like you're on a hamster wheel, like trying so hard to get this aesthetic that I think that every body size, you can come out of it feeling like, wow, I really tried hard and I'm stronger than I was last week. And that's a really positive thing to focus on.
Yeah. So first there recording, you mentioned how you want to sort of like tailor the exercise based on your mental space, your disability, your physical capacity. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. So one of the big things that I focus on with the people I work with, lots of online clients, I do run an online program, is the benefits of exercise that are for your mental health. So again, like feeling that boost in your mood, feeling like you've accomplished something, feeling proud of yourself, that you have shown up consistently and done something that you haven't been able to do before. All of those things live in your mind, right? They're not sort of embodied. But like it can be a good thing. And, like your energy levels go up, when you're working out consistently, all those things. And I think it's about finding the right program or right coach for you. So, with my training, I have a chronic illness that is from a brain injury. So I know how important it is to have a tailored plan that respects that injury or illness that I have. And not everyone is going to have that level of understanding because, you know, if I overdo it in other parts of my life, I can't work out because I'm physically drained, I'm nauseous, I'm mentally like just brain fog, different things like that. So knowing that, I am, you know, very acknowledge that not everybody's body and experience comes from the same place. And so really able to modify what they're doing based on either if it's like a physical disability, a brain injury, if it's a chronic illness, if it's a autoimmune disorder, if it's a injury that you have that has been plaguing you for years or months, like just coming in and knowing that everyone's body is different. We all have something that isn't quite right, you know, like whether it's lower back pain, whether it's the shoulder that clicks, whether you get headaches, you know, like everybody has something. And so working with that instead of, you know, from personal experience, like trying to fight against it works so much better. So just being a coach that understands that is really important to me from my own experience. And I think lots of people appreciate it as well.
Okay, thank you for mentioning back pain. And since I have an actual fitness person right now, I'm going to ask my question. Is going to the gym supposed to give me back pains?
Hopefully not, but it does for a lot of people.
It's been
a lot of things give us back pain. But I mean, that's something, you know, like everybody has that thing. Lots of people have lower back pain, and they need help with figuring out what to do. And it is possible to work with it and not be in so much pain. Which is huge.
I'm trying to myth bust my gym coach words right now about how after you come from the gym, you're supposed to feel the ache all over. It means you've done like a good job. Is that true?
Oh.
Just say no. Stick a in his face.
I don't think so. For me, like I see the benefit of that. Sometimes you want a workout where you're like feel like drained and exhausted and your like whole body hurts and you're like, holy moly, I've never worked so hard at anything in my entire life. I think my legs are gonna fall off. Like I can't lift my arm to hold my phone. Like that for sure has a time and place, but like who wants to feel like that, or who could possibly feel like that, you know, 3 times a week for like the next few years, like where basically you're like, you know, barely able to walk down the stairs or like sit on the toilet. It like affects all of your life, right? So I'm more about like exercise that leaves you feeling on a high. Like, so if it leaves you feeling like your mood is boosted, your energy's boosted, you're feeling like really good, you're like, yes, I feel amazing, versus the exercise that makes you feel like drained and you're like, whew, I'm so exhausted. Like, which one of those do you think you'll be able to do 3 times a week for the next
the least possible pain?
Right?
Possible pain.
And what we want is like over the long term to be moving and exercising and build a really sustainable habit that feels good for us, versus something that you're like, oh God, not this shit again. Like I'm not going to be able to move. I have to go on, like I have a presentation tomorrow, or I have like, you know, a date. Like I'm going to be walking like a duck or something. People are going to wonder what I'm up to, you know? So I think I'm all about like workouts to make you feel good.
Okay, Vinny, my wonderful gym coach around the office, you just heard that right now. I don't have to be in pain every single week. My thighs should not be killing me. It's so hard to sleep sometimes. It's so painful.
Oh my gosh, Abby.
It's probably my laziness also, but still, it's so exhausting. Oh my God, so much pain.
I hear you. I feel your pain. I know. I've been there.
I think you're more fit than I am. I'm starting to wonder if you ever are in pain.
I am. Oh yes. There's
really?
some fitness classes I go to where I'm like, wow, you are next level. I'm in pain for days.
It's at what point in this like whole fitness journey does it stop hurting? Like if it's gonna forever hurt, then what's the point?
That's a question you have to answer for yourself.
No, I don't want to be in pain. I want to look good and be fit and like stand in the mirror
Yeah.
and go, damn, Abigail. But I don't want the
Yeah.
pain.
I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. Doesn't have to be so painful.
I also want to be flexible without working out, but I'm still working on that. Because you guys know working out, I don't have like those flexible joints for that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah. So before we start recording, we're talking about the bike incident, which I cannot believe
Mm,
you put yourself there willingly. Can you tell us about the bike incident?
I can. So I mentioned before that I have an acquired brain injury, and what that means is that my brain hit the side of my skull in my head, and it was from an accident. So for me, it happened on a mountain biking accident in the U.S. And Abby is like,
I still
"You are
cannot believe
crazy
somebody will
for
willingly do that.
willingly wanting to ride down mountains over rocks and roots
Yeah.
and jumps."
Yeah, yeah.
But it makes me feel alive. I love it so much. But yeah, I was riding and went over my handlebars head first into a rock wearing a helmet. Instantly in that moment, sort of, well, like the moment after, the bike landed on me and I was like lying on the ground and I just did not feel okay. And I had had some injuries before in my life. So I knew there was something really off, and I knew I probably had a concussion. And I was traveling, so I had to get home to Canada. Once I arrived at home, it sort of really sunk in the depths of the injury, because I was sort of bedridden for like a week and really didn't understand what was happening to my body. And there's so much misinformation out there about concussions and brain injuries,
Oh.
and that is something I really feel strongly about advocating for and sharing my story with anyone who's willing to listen, because I think there's this idea that you hit your head and okay, you might be off for a week or two, and then or people, I know a lot of people who have friends of friends who have had concussions maybe like 10 years ago, and the treatment back then is very different from what it is now. So 10 years ago, they used to tell people to like sit in a dark room for 6 weeks and,
Some
don't
vampire-ish right now.
don't read a book, don't listen to music, don't do anything. And like, if you can imagine doing that for 6 weeks, imagine the toll it takes on your mental health. Like, you're going to come out of that depressed, socially isolated, anxious.
A bit
Like,
crazy.
yeah, like you can't, human beings are social beings. Like, we cannot exist in darkness for, extended periods of time and think it won't affect us. So now they, have different protocol for what you should do. And for me, like, I never thought that I would be still affected by this injury a year and a half later, but it affects every day of my life. I'm like super sensitive to loud noises, loud music. Can't read the same way I used to. I get headaches every day. I'm sensitive to large gatherings of people, because we don't recognize when our brains are healthy how much your brain does for you that you don't tell it to do. So it like blocks out noises that you don't need to hear, blocks out people walking around, doesn't take in that information. So my
Oh.
brain, because it's injured, doesn't do that. So it's on like overdrive. If you think about something that's really anxious or something, it's like watching everything,
Oh.
needs to know what's happening.
Oh no.
Like, it's just wild how many systems in your body a brain injury can affect. And so I'm just here to advocate for brain health. And if you do have a concussion, to get the right care you need and to be gentle with yourself, because it can be a long healing process and very frustrating healing process.
Okay.
And many
Wow.
people who have like brain injuries or like chronic illness in general know it can be really frustrating to visit a doctor and they don't really have any help for you.
They don't?
So yeah, I'm just like, no, they don't understand either. There's so much new research and they're not
Oh.
up to date. And like, I've experienced that just over and over again in my journey with a concussion, with a brain injury. So it's really frustrating.
Okay. An ignorant question coming up right now. I have never had a concussion. I try to be no physical activity. I just eliminate all of that. So I'm gonna quote what I have seen in a novel or in a TV drama somewhere, where someone has a concussion and you like use a torch to like look at their eyes, and then like how many fingers can you see? Is that true?
They do. They like, I mean, it can be useful. What they're looking for is like if your pupils will dilate. So that's a sign that you have a brain injury if your pupils don't respond to the light. And then this is like, I actually do that with my doctors. It's like more about tracking your finger. If your eyes don't move with the finger or they're slow, it can be a sign of concussion. And that's only just non-invasive ways of testing for it and very basic stuff. So it is right, but it's like, like the most basic level. It's like you think you're sick and your mom like touching your forehead and being like, yeah, you probably have a fever. It's like kind of like that.
Diane like romance author, step up your game right now. Like basic stuff. Do more research. Like, oh my god. So if that's the most basic, non-invasive stuff, what other signs are there to look out for if you have a concussion?
There are so many. There's over, I think, 60 symptoms that you could have when you have a concussion. Yeah. So like headache for sure, difficulty forming sentences and speaking and finding words.
Like you're slurring or something?
One. Yeah, or you're just like your memory feels blank. You're like, oh, like I can't remember the word for, I don't know, coffee cup or something like that. Mug. I don't know. I'm just looking at a coffee cup. Yeah. And little things like that. Little subtle changes in your vision. So if you look across, the first symptom I noticed that really freaked me out after my concussion was the next day driving to the airport. I was not driving a car because that's really, you shouldn't do that if you think you have a concussion. Looking out the window and I'm like staring at the hills, in the landscape beside the highway, and I'm like squinting my eyes and looking. I don't wear glasses, so I was like, what is going on? I really couldn't understand, and it just looked weird. And I can't describe it any further than that, but then I learned more about it and spoke to doctors, and it's your depth of field. So how close things look and how far things look. You're very used to it being sort of the reality, but when you have a concussion, that information transferring to your brain from your eyes is off. So it can look like things are closer than they should be, like a house or a hill or something is much closer. So
like those truck mirrors at the side.
Yeah, like things look closer than they appear. Totally like that.
Yeah.
Dizziness, balance issues, sensitivity to light and noise. I mean, I could go on, but those are the big ones to look out for.
Oh, wow. On one hand, I'm also quite glad that I never Googled I get migraines every week regularly, and then I get the ones that come with like smells are too much, noise is too much, then I'm short-sighted, so my vision gets a lot blurry. I feel like if I had Googled this, I'd have seen concussion.
Yeah, I mean, they would come up as the concussion related for sure.
Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to be grateful for my brain right now. Oh, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
I've done nothing but so
it's hard to be grateful for something when you if you don't really know what it's like for it to not work perfectly, but it's definitely be the days when you don't have a migraine, right? You're thankful for not having right? Like it's kind of like that.
I'm happy about that. So are there any misconceptions, apart from the concussions, for other mental issues, are there any other misconceptions that you've personally maybe realized or dealt with?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think from a mental health perspective that if if you experience depression or anxiety or anything like that, that there isn't ways to treat it from a lifestyle perspective, when I think there is. Like I'm a total advocate for like getting um, medicine and prescription medication for mental health if you need that, because I think there's still a lot of stigma around that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you can find exercise that you really enjoy and that's going to feel good for you, to also use that as a tool to help your mental health, because it really can. The toughest part though is like if you're having a really strong depressive episode or day or weeks, like the last thing you want to do is like get up and move around, like almost
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you
yeah.
can find a way to make that connection of like, I will feel better if I go for a 20-minute walk, or if I do follow a YouTube video for 30 minutes of yoga or dance aerobics or
Yeah.
whatever like makes you super happy and excited
Yeah.
to move, like that's what you should do. And to really try to add that into your life if you can.
I think I wish I had gotten this advice a few years ago. I just started slept it off. That was my solution. Just sleep it off. It's like I was just too exhausted. Like
Yeah.
there's the idea of like getting up or breathing. It's kind of like it's so exhausting to even breathe sometimes. Like when you like
Mm-hmm.
think about, am I breathing right now? Then you realize you're breathing. Then you
Mm-hmm.
try to keep on breathing. Then it's just exhausting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I get it. Like, and that's the hardest part, right? Like when you're not feeling well, and especially from a mental health perspective, like it's so hard to convince yourself that this is going to help. Because yeah, all you want to do is just lie in bed and
Yeah,
close the
just
door and shut off the world.
yeah.
Um, so that's why I just like, finding if there is a form of movement that you really do enjoy to do, trying to focus on that and just be like, it doesn't even have to be hard. Like it can just be a walk in the forest, or in nature, or in a quiet area. Like that would do so much for yourself and taking care of yourself.
So we've talked a lot about the mental health side of things. Let's talk about the queer
Mm.
community. Are there any misconceptions about the queer community? I mean, I know there are,
In
but you
general,
just tell us
or
from your
like
perspective. I mean, I know there are. Like, I've tried to explain asexuality a million times. It's not working out. So I know there are. But any you've experienced so far?
yeah. Oh, I don't know. Like, I think if I think about it from like a outsider's perspective, so people who don't identify as part of the queer community, the misconceptions are that like it's, there's so many like sexualities to keep up with, or like different like ways of identifying. It's also complicated and I don't understand it. Or like from a business or gym owner perspective, like what am I supposed to do? I don't know how to, like, I don't know how to cater or help um these people like feel comfortable or feel safe in my gym. And they're sort of like, it's too complicated to address, when I think
Yeah.
that is really, basic of them to like say. And it just comes down to looking at it from a like human perspective, and putting yourself in the shoes of someone who doesn't feel safe visiting like a gendered segregated washroom or change room because of their past experiences. So little things like that, or even just like putting up signs in your gym or space that this is a safe space for queer people, but then take the next step and call out anytime you hear homophobia in your gym or microaggressions
Yeah, yeah.
happen, because those are the little things that make people feel unsafe when they're there. And like we can, take those steps to make spaces feel a lot more safe. And I think that's
Yeah,
most
that would probably work. But I think I remember last year. Was it last year? What year is it? It's 2020. Oh yeah, I think I remember last year. There was the issue. I think in US about the bathrooms stuff for trans community in US.
Mm.
I think I don't know if it's last year or the year before, and so I had to like explain like what a transgender person was to the IT guy at the office, and it was not clicking.
Uh,
Yeah, it was not
yeah,
clicking.
that's frustrating too. And
Yeah,
then yeah, like there's a lot of people who don't know really what those words mean. Like
yeah.
they don't know what trans means, they don't know what non-binary means, like those things. And so there is still a lot of education and that needs to happen as well.
So, from the business perspective of an inclusive community, I'm assuming that
Mm-hmm.
the gym owner is probably more worried that if he makes this place inclusive, he might lose a lot of what they call it, gym goers. Who goes to gym? What are they
Yeah,
called?
like clients.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So I think they would be a bit worried that if they made their gym a bit more inclusive, like they might lose clients because most of the people who are quite homophobic and who are quite
Mm.
all that hate and all that aggression, they are the ones who mostly frequent the place. They are at least the majority of the population. So I think they're
Mm.
more worried about losing money, I guess.
I guess so. But like at the same time, you can address that from the other perspective and be like, you could gain like say there's like three people at your gym, they're the loudest people there and they all are against, having a like washroom or like non-gendered washroom or something. But like what if, those three people leave or those five people leave, but you gain 20 new clients? Like because those people respect the fact that you are respectful of people's gender identification or whatever else. And there can be things that people can do, like if it's not possible to have non-gendered washrooms and change rooms, have washrooms that are, like separate units that aren't in part of either of those change rooms that can be used for anyone who doesn't feel
Okay.
comfortable changing in a change room full of other people. Like there's tons of reasons to have those in general. So
Okay.
it's like if you are worried from a business perspective that you're going to lose people, most people probably won't care. I think we put like a little too much on like, oh, what if everybody hates it and leaves? Like they'd
Yeah.
probably be like a little bit new to them at first. It might be like, okay, like sure, let me try this out. And then they'll get used to it and they'll probably forget how it used to be, or like just have one area, locker room, and then like 8 changing rooms or 8 washrooms. Everybody can go in, change solo, do what they need to do, and it doesn't have to be about like men's room, women's room.
Okay.
It takes a
There
little
is
more
the
effort,
frequent.
but I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's the argument that if you had a men's changing room and the
Mm-hmm.
females changing room, there'll be more uncomfortable incidences and more harassment and
Mm-hmm.
all that. So, what's your take on that?
Like against or like men will harass women.
Yeah, I guess that's the
Mm.
concern.
Well, then like you really should be advocating for your women clients because
Yeah,
if that is like a concern, it's probably happening in the gym anyways, right? Like your the men who would harass someone in the washroom is probably going to harass them on the gym floor and say like, try to hit on them or something or say something sexist against
yeah.
them. And it's like you're not creating a safe space in general for your women identifying clients anyways. So like
Might
that's
as
something you
well.
need to address more
Yeah,
with in general as well.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like um important to make that whole space safe
Yeah, like if
and
you're gonna harass someone in the bathroom, like something's probably wrong with you in the first place. Like, yeah,
yeah,
this
like,
dude.
this person is probably harassing people everywhere they go in
Yeah,
different ways, whether it's like taking, if people who go to the gym will know this. I don't know if you've experienced this, Abby, not calling you out.
No, it's fine. I
But
tend to just use whichever, if I'm pressed, I use either the male or the female. So at the office, for some reason, it makes the men look comfortable. I'm like, okay, shouldn't it be the other way around?
Yeah.
But like, I just don't see why I have to, like, if the female is occupied, I have to like hold it in when the man is occupied. Like, what exactly am I gonna say there? Like, I don't want it anyway. Get out. Go to the washroom.
Yeah, it's just like a washroom.
Yeah. Makes sense. Also, can you tell us a bit more about your business, by the way? We've not even addressed that yet.
What, did you have something specific in mind, or
No, just
like
tell us about it. Like,
generally
if someone wants to work with you, you said you can take clients online, so it doesn't have to be like very physical. So if someone wants to work with you, then how would they go about it?
Yeah, well, I have a couple online programs, but the one that is sort of the first one to start out with, it's called a 30-day reboot. So it's a 1-month program. We do everything online, so you get to be part of a really supportive and motivating Facebook group community. So we post in there every day. Everyone's sharing like delicious recipes and what they're up to, and like super lovely and just encouraging. And then I host virtual workout classes, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home, and be anywhere in the world, just as long as you have access to a computer. So that's amazing. And like so I do those, the next one starting in July, actually. And I do them like every other month. So that one is like the best way to get started. And again, like, it's all virtual, so you can be anywhere in the world. And it really came out of what is happening with coronavirus here in Canada, in Toronto especially. There is a lot of cases, so we've had to close down almost all the businesses, and especially gyms, because there's lots of sweaty people touching everything.
Sweat and touching it, like, oof.
Yeah, so that really like helped people get on board with doing a virtual class, but it also allows people who can't find someone who they connect with on a local level, so they don't have someone in their town or city that they feel really understands where they're coming from. So it just opens that up, because like, I can be in Toronto and you can be in London, or like Mexico City or wherever, and just participate all together, because maybe where you live, it doesn't really exist like a queer community for fitness, or understanding of different abilities, all that stuff.
So how can someone join the 30-day rebuild? Like, is there a website or Instagram or something?
My Instagram is Ali MacKeller _.
Check it out right now. Let's follow you right now.
You can put it in the notes from the episode.
Yeah, I'll put it at the bottom.
AliMacKeller.com. That's perfect.
MacKeller.
So AliMacKellar _.
AR or ER? Oh, AR, not ER.
AR, yeah.
Found it. Ta-da! Wait, hold up. Let's see right. This one?
That's me. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
And I also take like online virtual one-on-one clients, make fitness plans for people. So there's lots of different options if you're looking for.
Yeah, if you're interested in that. Yeah, and you said you do the 30-day rebuild every other month. So after July, you have the next one in September or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. And when I post this, I'm just gonna put the 30-day. We're gonna put your name up, then your Instagram, your website, and then like the 30-day rebuild at the bottom, so it's there.
I love it.
Oh, any questions or anything else you want to add?
I think we touched on everything. I mean, I guess like from a entrepreneurial standpoint, I guess we haven't really talked about that, but just like, I love owning my own business and thinking of new ways to collaborate with people, or learn from others. So And like, being on this podcast is awesome too. Like, just like getting to connect with you, Abby.
Thank you.
But like, if there's anyone out there listening and who wants to be part of the program or wants to collaborate, like I am always open to that. And I love to, share what I've learned with others through this process, and just like share all the good ideas and vibes and everything. So feel free to reach out to me.
If we're talking about the entrepreneurial side of it, we can talk about it right now, dude. It's fine.
Okay, well, I mean, like, other than my little, like, I'll collaborate with anyone. No, but it's interesting because the entrepreneurial stuff, I never thought of myself really like in my, youth and adolescence and up until a couple years ago as someone who wanted to own their own business or be self-employed or start something. But I started to get really into it a couple years ago, about like 3 or 4 months before my concussion. And I was just sort of like, would get up at 6 a.m. and like read books about entrepreneurship and like brainstorm ideas before I went to my office job. But the concussion was actually sort of like the little spark that allowed me to change what I was doing. I had the concussion in February, and then from that experience and working with a life coach, I realized I didn't want to go back to my job. And like, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have quit my corporate job. Probably even now, like it would be a different story. So, you never know what can like help you take that next step, whether it's talking to someone who's done it or an injury or something crazy like that, or just being finally at the end of your rope at your current job and really wanting to take that next step. So I'm super passionate and excited about entrepreneurship and being like a business owner. I love that, and love seeing other, women and non-binary people and like LGBTQ people as well, like really start their own businesses as well. Like it's so exciting to be part of that as well.
Okay, before we just close up, like, did the brain injury really affect you at work, or is it still something that you could still do?
Does it affect my current work or my
No,
old
like
work?
your corporate job in the past. Did it affect it?
Yeah. It was like I was off work for 2 months, I think, and then slowly they with my doctor, I did a slow return to work. So I would work 2 hours a day for 3 days, and the next week I work 3 hours a day. But it very much affected my work. Like my brain was like slower to process things. So I found it so hard to write an email or like read something and then be able to synthesize that information. Just like, I almost felt like I, had gotten less smart. And was really frustrating because I'm not as capable as I was before. And then looking at a screen all day, being in a busy, noisy office, like there's so many things. I ended up actually taking more time off, like 3 months later, 2 months later, because it was too much for my brain. I'd come home after 3 hours of work and just like fall asleep without even trying. I would just like wake up 2 hours later and be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even mean to fall asleep, and clearly my brain is not okay. So there's a lot of things, and I still wouldn't be able to work in an office 8 hours a day, even if I wanted to right now. But it's also exciting to have like kind of this like forced into my own entrepreneurial and self-employment and know that I have to keep
more
going.
suitable for you right now. Yeah, this works better for you.
Exactly. Totally.
Oh my god! Wow.
Oh my goodness.
You have been through a lot. You have been through a lot. Oh my god. Wait, I'm a very lazy person.
So I mean, I don't feel that way, but
Yeah, you have. Like I still can like get over the fact that you willingly rode a bike up a mountain. You saw a steep mountain and you put yourself in there. Like self-preservation. What happened to
Yeah.
that? Like just like whoa. No.
I don't know. I think that part of my brain is missing in general. So,
Is it thrilling though?
do you want to come mountain biking with me
God
sometime,
no.
Abby?
I can't even ride a bike on a
Don't
flat
worry, I'll
place.
teach you.
Yeah, I tried riding a bike a
Okay,
few
we'll
years.
start there.
I scraped like the sides of my leg and I was like, this is a sign from God. Stop.
You're not meant to ride
No,
bikes.
no, it's like
Okay, fair enough.
I have to like paddle it constantly. Really?
I mean, yeah.
Sounds exhausted. I'm too lazy for this.
Yeah, it does get tiring.
And like I like putting like the bare minimum physical effort in anything. Like the littlest effort. Riding a bicycle seems exhausting. Even looking at it is
What
exhausting.
what kind of workouts do you do with your trainer? I'm curious.
Initially, I wanted to do like to get abs and to get arms just so I could flex. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
like my sole
Okay.
goal to like I could just do this. Like, ha, look at these guns. And then I tried
Yeah.
for like a month, and I was in so much pain. I had to like change my goal. Like, okay, I just want to eat as much as I want without getting like belly fat. So that was my next goal, and that worked out for a while. Then I think I pulled a muscle or something because he kept making me do this all the time.
Ooh.
It's like, how is that giving me like abs or anything? Like, what the hell? Then I pulled a muscle.
Okay.
They started making me do this
In your
back
back?
thing, and I was like, oh my god, it's exhausting. So I switched to yoga, but I couldn't like stretch. And I tried, I could literally feel my muscles stretching. I was like, nope, this is not meant for me. So I just gave up.
Let's just end the the working out in general.
I know. It's like, you know what? If I was meant to be fit, I'll be fit by myself. Like, the muscles will come.
Yeah.
This has been a
Well,
fun
yeah, I
interview.
guess
Like, yeah, let's talk about my laziness.
We really got to address that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows now.
I'm proud of my laziness, like you. I've worked for it. Not really, but you get the point.
Okay. I get it. I get it. It comes natural.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye.